Hi, and welcome to a Small Medium at Large podcast. I'm your host, Gail Heisen, bringing you intimate interviews beyond normal boundaries. I want to thank all you listeners for liking, sharing, subscribing, and sticking with us. This is our 121 show, and we're hitting on almost 5 years this September of our podcast. So I want to tell you a little bit about our special guest before we start asking her questions. Veronica Moya is originally from Buenos Aires, Argentina. For over a decade, Veronica has devoted her time, energy, and resources to advancing emotional intelligence, meditation, and self-awareness programs for children worldwide. Most adults spend years trying to rebuild the self-trust, emotional regulation, and inner connection they lost in childhood. Veronica Moya helps children keep it. Veronica is a children's mindfulness expert, author, educator, speaker, and founder of Mindful V, a bilingual nonprofit and media platform helping children develop emotional resilience, confidence, intuition, and self-trust from an early age. She is known for her powerful perspective that children are naturally wise, emotionally perceptive, and deeply connected to their inner world, and that adults should help protect that connection instead of training it out of them. Through the Mindful V method, Veronica uses mindfulness, visualization, storytelling, affirmations, gratitude, and emotional awareness practices to help children navigate anxiety, rejection, bullying, overstimulation, and self-doubt with greater resilience and clarity. She is also the creator, author, and illustrator of a children's book called Goom Finds His Happy Place. Veronica is a sought-after voice for conversations about emotional regulation, conscious parenting, childhood intuition, family wellness, resilience, and giving children the tools many adults spend years trying to reclaim. Featured in major media outlets, she was on Telemundo as their metaphysical expert, and she has been featured in the New York Times, the Business Insider, NBC, Cosmopolitan, E! Entertainment, Financial Times, Natural Awakenings, and Wisdom Magazine. Veronica was invited to teach at Columbia University, the Omega Institute, Montessori School, and public schools in New York City and in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Whether she's leading a classroom, appearing on TV, or speaking to parents and educators, Veronica Moya brings a rare blend of soul, science, and stage presence. Her vibrant, forward-thinking voice is reshaping how we talk about childhood wellness, and her work continues to inspire audiences worldwide. Let's welcome Veronica here today. Hi, Veronica.
Hi, Gail.
It's great to
Thank
have you.
thank you very much for having me and for that introduction.
I guess we're speaking to you and you're in Florida right now.
I am. Yes.
So is that where you're living now in Florida?
Yes. We just moved here recently, so I've been in New York for 25 years and I still we'll go back and forth. Because we have wedding businesses there. I have an elopement wedding business, and my husband has a wedding chapel in Manhattan. So I'm actually going there tomorrow, and still, my friends, and then I still visit schools. Actually, I'm going to work. I'm working with a special needs children's school there. I'm teaching a few classes. Yeah, so if you
That's
truly, I go anywhere. I love what I do. So if you want me, call me and I'll
and you're
come.
there.
I'm there.
Well,
Yes.
you might be able to tell from my accent. I was born and raised in New York City, and I have many relatives. If I go into Manhattan, I just have to go every 10 or 12 blocks, and I have an aunt or a cousin or somebody that's living there. And my old friends. So I love going to visit, and I love New York. There's no city like it, but I just like to visit. I'd rather live in California.
How long have you been in California?
I've been in this house I'm at right now 48 years. And I've been in I left New York when I was 15. I just took the
Oh,
accent with me.
wow.
So
Wow.
I'm going to begin with the question that I ask all of my guests when they're here for the first time. I'd like to know intimately about where you grew up and if anything in your childhood or your family or someone in your life when you was a child put you on the spiritual path of helping children as an adult. Some guests have nothing related to it. Some, their whole life was formed during their childhood about what they were going to do in the future. So I'd like to know how you started out.
Sure. So yeah, I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Was born of a very simple parents, family, young parents. And since I can remember, I was very self-aware and I was very aware of my non-physical. You know, I know some people
Mhm.
remember their past lives. I didn't remember my past life. I remember my spirit life, my non-physical. So I had a little bit of a hard time being here, enjoying it here, because this is very different.
Mhm.
Humans, we just have all these new rules, new ways of doing things. It was not um, nice. It wasn't comfortable. I was really annoyed. That's the truth. So I was precautious. I was very outgoing, very confident, but most importantly, I have a very, very, very big inner life, like my connection with my spirit. You know, my spirit is my best friend, and my connection
Mhm.
with the other side is what it just, it's my compass, is my everything. So, yeah, during my younger years, I wanted to go. I wanted to die because dying would mean go back to the non-physical. That was attracted to me. And
Did,
then one day I stopped trying, I guess, because I used to get these asthma attacks and my poor parents panicked and had to rush me to the hospital and give me a shot. And then when I was 6, I think I was in bed an entire summer, which is not fun when you're 6 years old, because I had pneumonia. So I think something inside me was like, okay, Veronica, stop it. You're not going to go anywhere. You're here. Deal with it and make the best of it. And then when I was 7 years old, I think I was in the park. I don't know. I had I did a lot of, I didn't do meditation. We didn't know anything about meditation at the time, but a lot of daydreaming, a lot of time alone, time with me and my thoughts. And I just had this epiphany, or I had this message, or this whatever you call it. It became obvious or clear to me that I'm the creator. Everything happens for me. I decide and I can make things happen. And what I remember at the time is like, oh, well, that's cheating. That's not fun. I should do the way they do it and live like, like make things harder for me. So, because I kind of knew I had this knowing of things, everything will work out for you. Relax.
mhm.
I kind of feel like I made that pact with the others, like my friends on the other side, and said, hey, if I had to be here, it should be nice and easy. Don't give me any headaches, not too hard, because I'm not, this is not okay.
Did your parents understand this part
Oh,
of
no,
you?
no, I wouldn't 100% never share this with them.
Ah,
A neighbor once heard me, my mom, because I was born in 73. No, my mother would go to the store, whatever, and leave me alone in the house. That was normal. It wasn't,
and was she religious at all, or?
right. So my parents weren't very religious, but my grandparents, my grandmother, extremely Catholic, and
Mhm.
so the programming was the kingdom of heaven is of the poor, and if you're rich, you're a bad person, and if a lot of
Indoctrination, or?
yeah, and a lot of conflicting messages, because
Mhm.
they would tell me God is love, God, it's your father, all knowing, and he knows. It's like Santa Claus knows when you're sleeping, knows when you're awake. He's always watching you, right? And he knows everything about you. But then at the same time, they'll come and say, well, if you lie or if you do this, you'll be punished. You'll get punished. And so, even at a young age, I was 8 or so, and I'm scratching my head like, well, that doesn't make sense. If he knows what's in my heart. He knows I made a mistake or I didn't know. Why would I be punished? Like, it made already for me, it made no sense, all this.
Mhm.
Anyway, Yeah, no, no. My parents were not religious, and I did not verbalize any of this. And so, fast forward, so at the time, I always wanted to be an actress and wanted to be in the arts. And I did
Hmm.
eventually, I studied musical theater and I moved to New York to be in musical theater. And I worked, coincidentally, I'd done a lot of work with children my
How
whole
fun.
from 17, I founded my first company in Buenos Aires, which was a children entertainment company. So we used to go and entertain children's birthday parties. And then I was an English teacher, and then Spanish as a second language, and then I perform, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, long.
Well, that actually sounds like those were all things that were preparing you for your future work
Yes.
because you were doing music, stage, working with children, teaching. You were doing not necessarily about a spiritual in those, but those were all the tools to take you to where you are today.
Right. So one day I was already an adult and I went to an audition, and this is how it started. So I was always very aware, very intuitive, but I discovered the Edgar Casey Center. I was on an audition. I saw a wisdom magazine and they were teaching, there was an ad for a psychic development class, develop your intuition. So I went, I took the class, obviously loved it. It's a snowball effect. I took other classes, intuitive tarot, and before you know it, I was doing readings for people and teaching
Mhm.
classes. So of course I started teaching and reading for adults, but that was not fulfilling at all for me. Now I have lots of friends, a lot of colleagues. That's what they do, and they do it to they do it very well, and they're great. But it wasn't my calling, evidently. I mean, it's easy for me to do. I'm a wonderful channeler. I'm a wonderful reader. I can really connect with the person and bring forth information that is
Hey,
useful,
Bruno.
right? But it was obvious it was just torture for me, and it was torture to sit in front of these people that were too far gone. Like they didn't really want to dig deep or learn or improve or, make changes.
Hmm.
So I'm like, I didn't want to be a fortune teller. I didn't, that's not, that's big also because I think we're all intuitive, we're all psychic. So
Yes.
I was very, very frustrated. And again, the way life works, everything happens organically. I was invited to, I went to the Omega Institute, had a teens camp. So that's how it all started. I taught at the teens camp in 2011, and that was like the aha moment, the
Hmm.
turn of the page for me, because it was that's it. It was so beautiful to see the kids' reaction to the realization of their powers, right? I was teaching a tarot class, and I always teach, I don't teach tarot like learning the meaning of the cards, but it's intuitive tarot. So basically,
Yes.
I walk you through going within and feeling the cards and getting the messages. So they were able to experiment and to do readings for each other, and they discover how much they knew, how much and they were literally blown away. I am blown away. I am blown away. And it was fabulous. It was so wonderful, so empowering. And I was like, yes, that's it. That's what I want to do. And then from
Gonna
there,
pause us just for 1 sec. There's somebody, I'm gonna just move my door. Hang on. Okay.
so after teaching the teens, I went on to teaching kids in school age. Um, Also a long journey, and now I am focusing on children ages 5 and up, 5 to 12. And it is my mission to bring awareness to the parents of the importance of this activity, because we are not just body and brains. We are mind, body, and spirit, and the spirit needs and must be nourished daily, just like
Hmm.
brushing your teeth, you know? Uh,
I, as a, an older adult now, how much I wish there were things like this when I was a child. There, and people that I know that are in my age bracket, how, those things weren't necessarily being talked about or discussed in most. But I happen to live in an unconventional family, so I got exposed to meditation in 1962. And we lived with a Hindu monk, lived with us, so I actually watched deep meditation where as a kid I couldn't understand that. He would close his eyes and sit in lotus position, and I couldn't understand how he couldn't. And I kept thinking, is this a trick, because you're a kid and you're watching. So I would go and do things to him, like I'd run up and say something, and he wouldn't respond. He would be in true deep meditation state, and I'd never seen that. And we'd play card games together, and he'd show me how he could read cards, and we would start doing card readings together. And I think, whatever effects you did to those kids and teenagers before you even decided to do this program, you left some sort of an impression because those kids have never been exposed to that. And that was where my first exposure was. And you don't ever forget that. When you see that person do that, even though you don't understand it, you know something is going on. That's a 7-year-old's point of view I'm giving you.
Right, right. Well, but that's exactly right. So you were exposed. That's great. But you're right. Most kids are not. And
Mhm.
it's just junked out of us. I mean, I was very fortunate. I'm really very strong. My connection to spirit is like super, super strong. But I can also tell you that, I mean, I mean, you know what it's like to be human and to be, you get attacked from so many corners. And I don't mean attack like attack, but I'm saying you're influenced by, your boss, your partner, your spouse, your parents, your peers, your friends. Um, and everything influences you. So having a strong sense of self, it is so important. And this is what I get, like the feedback that I get from people that I know and I meet. Apparently, that's what everybody seems to be surprised about, which is normal to me. Like things I do, things I choose. Like, I don't know. I was married before my first husband, didn't work out. I think we were married for like 3 years and we got divorced. No big deal. It was an amicable divorce too. I'm like, eh. And I remember the way, the reaction of some people.
Oh,
Were very surprised, and this woman saying, "Oh, you're so brave." Well, and I'm like, "Why am I brave?" I said, "It didn't work. It's done. Move on, do something else." The same thing with work or with school, right? I went to school. I started, learning something. I didn't. It wasn't for me. Didn't like it. You stop and you do something else. And that's what I've always, you follow your inner compass, your guidance.
yes,
And it's like, duh, what else would I do? But apparently, that's not what most people do. If you go to university, you finish it, right? If you already did a year, whatever, you finish and you get your degree. And then if you're with a partner, you put in some years and you got married and like you try to make it work. Or it's, same thing with a job. And how many people out there they're miserable in their jobs, but they keep it because it gives them security and they cannot fathom
right.
succeeding and being blessed and shining without that job.
And
But
fear, I think fear is one of the big motivators that makes people stuck in these places that they can't get out of because it's a risk to take the leap or it's a risk to make the change. And they're more comfortable being miserable because that's what they know.
exactly.
And yeah, I'm not like that, and you're not like that.
Right, right, right. Right. And because working with adults, I realized like I can't convince them. Forget
Right,
it's impossible. So we need to start early on. We need to we need to show the kids that they have this inside of it is real because they have it. They just came from the non-physical. Gail, it is so amazing to see. I walk into a room, they never met me before. They don't know anything. And I just come and I present the activity and to see how they just take it in like that. It's like they're professional meditators. How does that happen? And the
Be-
parents are the most skeptical of all. Parents are scratching their, they can't believe. They don't believe that their kid is going to go for it. And they do. Why? Because the soul knows what it needs. If you all, that's why I try to educate parents and say all you need to do is just present the activity and give them the opportunity to find it. Obviously you cannot force anyone into enlightenment. You cannot bully someone into.
No, no. Have you heard about the telepathy tape study?
Yes.
Yes, I was just at a conference last month in Richmond, Virginia, and some of the people involved in that were presenting there. And in fact, I know another person who's actually worked, directly with the group. And I thought that was fascinating that here's all these parents with non-speaking autistic children, and they have no idea that they're actually extremely telepathic. And if someone like yourself or a researcher or someone, whoever it was, that decided we really need to study and see what's going on with these children, you wouldn't even know this now. And apparently they communicate in a telepathic place as a group. And these children all seem to connect together in some spiritual sort of a place and communicate. And just because they're not speaking and that's what we're expecting they're supposed to do, doesn't mean that they're not communicating. And it doesn't mean they're not smart or brilliant or other things, but they're just not fitting into the mold of what we expect that a child is supposed to be doing.
It's not convenient because what the parent wants to communicate, they want to verbalize it, but they know a lot. And they know, and you hit it. And that's what I feel happens when I go in the classrooms. I don't connect with the person. I never do. My
Mhm.
connection is always with the spirit.
With the spirit.
It's all to, yes. So I know, and you know, and we know, and that's it. It's an unspoken, um, yeah, the most magical, the most wonderful experience I had, something that was, I feel blessed and I feel happy that that happened. I was
Hmm.
I was hired to work at this place called the Quantum House. It's a house. It's kind of like the Ronald McDonald's house. It hosts families with the kids. The kids are in they have to go to the hospital. So anyway, the house has parents and children, and they wanted me to come twice. I would go twice a week at 7 p.m. to do meditation for everybody. It was mostly the parents. Truly, the guy who hired me is thinking about the parents, not too much the
Hmm.
kids. But he knows I work with kids anyway. So I'll go, and the parents, nobody's in. They don't even want to try it once. It's not like they came, they didn't like it, they didn't come back. They just
Hmm.
say there's a hard no. It's 7 p.m. They're tired. They want to take a shower. They want to unwind. They want to watch TV. They blah 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 blah. Yeah, no. So I go. I said, well, I'm gonna do meditation if anybody's interested. And the kids said, I want to do. And the parents were like, what? Really? All right. So from then on, I had a class. I had the room full of kids, no parents. The parents didn't want, and the parents, every time I'll show up, the parents would tell me, I never seen her put her iPad away as fast as when you're here. They
Hmm.
put it away and they come, everybody, not because of me. I know this is not me. I know it is the activity. It is the
Hmm.
invitation to go within, to honor who you are, to connect with spirit. It's the only time, the only opportunity they have to just be themselves, do what comes natural. And the parents didn't get it every time. The parents were like, wow, 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 wow. Yeah, but hello.
I, I, I had a whole bunch of questions here, but you've actually answered some of them in this first introductory question. So before I go further into because I do have questions about what you do with the children and stories about them, but before I go there, and you've answered this one about where you're based, I would just like if we could just talk a little bit about your children's book that you wrote. Goom finds his happy place. I was wondering, what is this book about? What age is it geared for? And have you been able to get it into the school libraries or places where you could distribute it so that other teachers could have access? I'm wondering how you're doing with that. And then I'd like to go back to all the other work that you're doing as well.
Thank you. Yes, so this is the book.
Oh,
I
very nice.
illustrated it myself. And it's the story of the soul. Goom is a being that lives in a very happy place where he's happy, everything's wonderful. And one day he
Uh-huh.
learns about Earth. He's very curious and he decides he wants to come and try a life on Earth. And his friends were a little concerned. Are you sure you want to go there? Yeah, 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 yeah. He comes. And
Uh-huh.
and the friends tell him, well, we'll be watching you. All right. So he comes, and of course he comes, he's a boy, and he forgets why he came, what he's, why, who he is, what's happening, and he's unhappy. I guess, it's kind of the story of my own story. He's
Mm-hmm.
not happy with this situation. He doesn't understand. Things are hard. And then one day, his friends from the other side kind of showed up and tapped him and reminded him of a few things. And he learned this trick that when he closes his eyes and he breathes deeply, he can go back to his happy place, his true home. And he
Mm-hmm.
remembers he came here to explore, to experience. And this is not that serious here. It's okay. It should be easy and fun. And so from that day on, he's not sad anymore. He's not depressed anymore. He was depressed. I don't know if I left that. I think I changed that word, depressed. But anyway, but that's the gist of it. And I did it with the intention of, again, everything we do is based on what we know, our experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's me. And I did it kind of giving voice to other kids who may be going through the same stuff that I went through. And also, when I was teaching one of this, it's a public school in the Upper West Side in Manhattan. This 5-year-olds. It's a kindergarten school. This 5-year-old used to say, "I don't want to live. I don't want to live," and he meant it not in a bad way, not in a sad way. And I get it. I
Mm-hmm.
understood what he meant. I think he had two nannies. It was very interesting teaching these kids because the kids that came from prominent families, they have one set of issues, problems, and then there were other kids who had were not prominent families, struggling financially, and they had a different set of issues. But nevertheless, they were all kind of in it together and trying to figure out how to make the best of this
Mm-hmm.
crazy life. So no, I'm not in this. I mean, I just coincidentally just did a YouTube video about the book, me with my reading the book and showing it. So with the hopes of making it more accessible to everybody.
Can you tell us if someone is searching on YouTube how they could find that if they want to show that to their child?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is my name, Veronica Moya. So if you go to YouTube at Veronica Moya, you'll see my channel is called Mindful V. And it's a wonderful channel. And I have lots of guided meditations for kids and other activities to ease them into this self-discovery, into a daily practice.
Have you worked with any autistic children? I don't mean not necessarily non-speaking, but there's so many different children on different levels of the spectrum
Yes.
now that I know would benefit tremendously from this. And I'm wondering if you've done that or if you've had success with that or what that might
Yes.
be like.
Yes, of course. So, all right. So with my private practice, I used to teach a class on Saturday mornings. And anytime I advertise a class that I teach, all I get is kids with is neurodiversity or ADHD or the spectrum, things like that.
Right.
And that's great. And we do great. Like I said, it's they either you either are drawn to it, to the activity, or you're not. So
Mhm.
they are, everything works, everything clicks. But again, my issue is this is for everybody. It's necessary for, because what I get is from parents of healthy and happy children. Oh, my kid is fine. They don't need it. And I am like, well, that's like saying my kid is fine. They don't need to brush their teeth. Their teeth are fine. They don't need to brush them. You don't brush, I don't know,
There's
because
decay later.
oh, you brush to prevent the decay of the teeth, right?
Mhm.
So this is the same. You should, I am working diligently in bringing awareness to parents of the importance of, and that's why I'm trying to keep it as simple and as mainstream as possible. Try to keep all the woo-woo stuff out of it, right? I call it mental hygiene because it is. And
Mhm.
my videos, if you go my YouTube channel, are very simple, and I made a whole playlist of mindful mornings. They're short videos, 5 minutes each, and they're meant to be used in the classroom. So I invite all the teachers to try it out and see how it goes, how they respond.
Wonderful.
Simple. We start with stretches and then a positive affirmation and then a like 2 or 3 minute guided meditation. And then you start the day. Just
I'm just thinking of some children who, or I'm thinking of people I might know who have children that have a lot of energy and they're running around all over the place, and the parents are like exhausted. Something like that, if they just, and 5 minutes is a very minimal amount of attention span that a child really can hold up for. And so I think you're offering something very good as a starter point for them to be able to engage. In fact, one of my questions had to do with, I don't know where it is down here, but it had to do with seems that if you got the teachers and students and parents all together on your program, there would be really powerful results. But I know, and my question was, are they interested in that? But we can see that it's really hard to get the three lined up. But at least if you start with the children, you're at least planting the seed. And which would actually be another question. I'm just going to jump around since my questions have been, some of them have actually been answered. Uh, is there a story or one or two stories that you could share where you've seen these results before you, where you've started off, like say the child was somebody that was always running around, or have you ever actually, since you've been doing this now for more than a decade, have you had any children where they are older now, maybe they're 18, or where they've come back and said, thank you. The things that I learned from you, I've taken with me through this. And they would be just great testimonials also if you had for your site. So I didn't wasn't able to go through everything. So I was just wondering if there's anything you could share of a story that comes to mind that, makes your heart joyful, or something that was traumatic that turned beautiful, or something in that nature.
of course. Well, the best one, the big highlight is this kid. She's a wonderful kid. She's a daughter of someone I know, a tango teacher from Argentina. Um, okay, I won't give too many details, but a struggling family, humble life. Um, yeah, very, very difficult life her mother had. And this kid, so they start seeing me, her and her sister. I'm going to say, was she 12? I don't know if she was 11 or 12 years old.
Mhm.
Fast forward. Um, okay, I'll go and say it. She she used this. She used what she learned in such a way. This kid, this girl had such determination, such focus.
Mhm.
She used her mind and her brain so brilliantly. After she finished prep school, she knew what high school she wanted to go. She went to Bronx Science,
Oh,
and,
my husband went there.
and she knew she wanted to go to Harvard. Well, of course, not only is she in Harvard now, all paid, scholarship, but she got admitted to 28 schools that she applied for. All the Ivy League schools, they were fighting for her and offering her money in addition to the full scholarship that she got, right? So that's
Wow.
power of the mind. That is my best. That is, my most
That's a
the bragging.
very,
There's others. Obviously, I had this lady from Colorado who they did sessions with me during the pandemic. We used to meet via Zoom twice a week, and her kid had diabetes, and that's why they seeked out this activity. And they reported that he was able to control the insulin levels. How do you to regulate the insulin level?
oh,
By I had no idea. I didn't know. I never sell this. I had no idea that this was possible, but evidently it was. And then that's how I ended up in the New York Times, because she was interviewed and she mentioned me, and she said that thanks to this meetings, he was now he's older, the kid. So this was during the pandemic. So now I don't know if he finished high school or what. But those are very nice, impressive
that's
stories.
very fascinating. So, by learning to still his mind and be more connected to his spirit in his body, he was able to have a better regulation of his blood sugar with diabetes, which is
Mm-hmm.
not easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
myself have diabetes, so I can say how I know what a difficult thing that must be for him as a child. I have adult, but um, uh, I do think that the centering of the self, just something about the whole calming down of the whole system of the body. Anyways, that's a fantastic, very positive result of him working with you. So
Yes.
that made the New York Times.
Yes.
That was great.
Yes. I
So
was,
those and so those children, so these children are older now, and you're working now mostly with say 5 to 12 year olds.
well, I want to, because again, I think it is so important, and it's important to start at this age. This is I've learned. So I've done everything, and I
Hmm.
was put in front of classes of 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, and I concluded that the 5-year-old is the sweet spot. This is exactly when they know, they understand. It's just when they stop, because when you're a toddler, you're really 90% spirit, and you're just learning to be human and learning about how to use your body and all that stuff. So
Yes,
you're still in spirit mode. But 4, 5, now you're really getting into the human world. And we know what
hmm,
that means. And the more you get into that, and the more you get into all the shoots and shootings and what, behaving like a human should behave, then you live all your spiritual life behind more and more and more, because now you are trained to listen to your intellect, use your brain, use your mind, analyze this is right, this is wrong, instead of going within and deciding from your inner compass to tell you this is right, this is wrong. So that's it's so important. It's so critical. Um,
yes, because you want
5-year-old, very important. And then I always like to say, because I go and I see all the kids, I don't discriminate. I see in adolescents as well, teenagers, but I'm trying to focus, the message is truly for the younger kids,
Hmm.
to start to develop this practice
Well, it's a
earlier.
better time to get them at that age because that's the age when they're going to start being brainwashed in school. And if they're able to enter school with more of a this is something I've always been very grateful for, is that my father never he always encouraged whatever my intuitive or dream-like experiences were. Instead of saying, don't believe that, don't do that, he always said, school is a brainwashing institution that's going to teach you how to not think for yourself.
Right?
So I'm very grateful to have grown up more open-minded that way because of his teaching, even though some people thought he was crazy for that and that education is the most important thing and all this other stuff. I was grateful for that and grateful for the fact that I never quieted that voice inside me. Because if children can learn to listen to the voice inside themselves, the more that they say yes to it, the stronger that voice gets. And they will challenge when then someone says, "Oh no, this is how you should do it. This is the way it is." And so to give children a foundation at that age, I think you're doing a very smart thing at starting at 5. I think that 5 to 12 group that really is where you can really get in the deepest and leave those seeds to grow for their future when they're 18.
Right. Yes.
This
When
is
we're teenagers, this happens to everybody. Insecurity, self-defeating thoughts, self-sabotage, all that stuff. It's gonna come up. As adults, we all feel those things.
In
So,
fact, there's a quote here from you that I thought was very beautiful, that you decided to create a platform where young people could be heard and are encouraged to nurture their relationship with spirit. This work is about giving children permission to use the part of themselves that doesn't get nurtured at school or at home, which is also the only part that can give them true freedom and fulfillment in life. I highlighted that on my page here because I thought that was so clear and beautifully said. So can you give us an example of a class program, like when you first meet these children and you walk in, what do you do?
okay. So yes, so because I go to schools and public schools, and again, we had to keep everything as, you know,
Right,
nothing too weird.
right.
So I got licensed, I got certified as a mindfulness teacher. So I use the mindfulness curriculum. And the
Mhm.
mindfulness curriculum is, every class is mindfulness of something. So we start mindful listening. So I bring a bowl and we sit and we listen and we talk about it and we listen to other noises and you know. So you do
Beautiful.
go through the exercise. So every week is a different, or every day, every class is mindful listening, mindful seeing, mindful breathing, mindfulness of kindness, mindfulness of heart, then body scan, etc., etc. So so we start with that, and then I do my guided meditation, which is my specialty and my favorite thing to do. And then we do artwork. I always like to include artwork, and because I'm in the schools, I cannot do a lot more. It's very limited, but in my private classes, we include movement and singing. I think
Mhm.
singing is very, very healing and very, very important and very underrated. And people don't do it. And
Mhm.
either you are a singer or if you're not a singer, you don't sing. Terrible. It's really important. And by singing, you use your breathing. Um, but I should write this down and talk about the effects, neuroscience, because it's very real what singing does for the soul and for the body. So I would include that in my private classes, but in the schools, we keep it short and simple. Usually
Mhm.
it'll be like a 20-minute class, roughly. And yeah, it consists of that. And what I've done now, I don't know if I said this before or not, but I created a playlist, a video program to be used in the classrooms by the teachers. And each video is only 5 minutes long, and it's called Mindful Mornings, and it's very very short and very simple. It consists of stretches, a positive
Yes.
affirmation, and a quick meditation, a guided meditation. I'm done.
So when you approach, because I kept thinking, like, I only went to public school in New York, so all my school was in New York City, and which at that time was incredible school system, and it really was an amazing education. But I'm wondering, what is it like now? My children went, some of the part-time went to private school when they were young, and then later public school. I have three kids, and I see there's a difference. I sent my daughter, my oldest daughter, in fact, she was just 49 on Monday, and she went to bilingual school, so she speaks Spanish fluently, and she learned, a lot of her schooling in Spanish, not in English, but it was a small school with just, 14, 15 kids. So, more along that idea of these, like the Montessori or the Waldorf, or it wasn't that. It was, and in fact, they were from Argentina, her teachers. So her teaching was Argentinian Spanish. And
Wow.
they were very smart, and it was two women, a mother and daughter team, and they decided to open this school, and she was in there, and it was not far from us, and it was my first child, and I didn't want her in the public school system because I remembered how I was tortured in the public school system, not being the same as everyone, and not having the right clothes, and not having the right food, and all the bullying that went on with that gave me lots of trauma that I don't, had to work out with later. So I didn't wasn't rushing my daughter into that. But then as I had my next child and the last one, I ended up after preschools putting them into public schools, which were very nice public schools here in California. But the question is, are private schools like Waldorf or Montessori more eager to have a program like yours than, say, when you approach the public school systems? Do you have more difficulty dealing with, because I know public schools can, all the rules and regulations, and, that must be a harder for you to get into. But I think there's even more bullying going on in those schools than there are, say, in these smaller private schools. And I'm wondering what kind of challenges you had with that.
Well, me personally, um, no, I have not worked in a private school. Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember. Quite the opposite. I noticed I did reach out to a few, well, at least here in Florida, and they said, no, thank you. Oh, we already have it. Oh, we're already doing it. Which means
Oh,
they don't even, I don't know what they're doing. They probably go through the motions. I shouldn't say that. I don't
right.
know what they do. What I do know is that there was no even interest in seeing what I'm suggesting, what I offer, what, right? Maybe they don't want to spend the money in that. I don't know, probably, because that's the excuse in the public schools. No budget, no budget, no budget. And I get it because this is an experiential activity. If you
Hmm.
don't have the experience, you don't see the value. You don't understand. Sitting quietly and breathing, give me a break, right? Please. They rather spend the money in things they can see and touch. The robotics class, the computer class, the other things. I get it. But believe it or not, I have had an easier time getting into the public schools
I'm
for
surprised.
free. I mean, I do go for free.
Right.
Yes, because I talked directly to, so I got fingerprinted and all that. Like I done all that stuff because I work in after school programs as well. But yeah, because the teachers, if I meet with the teachers and again, it's the experience. The teachers appreciate they love it. So when I go to the classroom, they're
Great.
there, they do it with us, and they feel the peace, they feel the serenity, and they feel that little something that they needed. So yeah, they welcome it, and thanks to these teachers, it was like in particular this one school in the Upper West Side. God bless them. There were these two kindergarten teachers. They were intense because I was going for free and I was going every week. And then so at one point I had to go on vacation. I wasn't, I was going away or whatever. Oh, what are we gonna do? You're not here. What happened? So I said, okay, you know what? I'll make a video and you can play the video next week with next week's class. And this is how it all started. So I'll make a video of mindful listening or mindful thinking, whatever. And the funny thing is, like, so then I come back the following week and I forgot about the video, what the video was about, whatever. And I'm walking down the hallways and the kids go, thinking,
Ah!
repeating. They watch the video, and it's just that melts my heart. It's just so amazing, right? It's amazing to see. All you have to do is just plant the seed, and then they run with it.
I I I have to tell you, it just came to me that I had three guests. If you ever have a chance to check out my podcast, one is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. His name is Di Hong, and the other two names are Oscar Rodriguez and Irv Relova. And Irv was from the Philippines, and Oscar was from Mexico.
Mhm.
And I don't know, 20 years ago, I'm not sure how long ago, I'm never good with the dates, but Di Hung ended up leaving his career as a computer scientist or developer or programmer, whatever he was in the computer world, went back to Vietnam and became ordained as a Buddhist monk and spends his life in the helping the prisoners in California state prisons, teaching them mindfulness and meditation. And the things that he has to go through in the logistics of the prison systems is unbelievable. And when he first went there, he discovered that the libraries all had all kinds of spiritual books of every religion, but there was nothing there on Buddhism. There was nothing there about mindfulness and meditation. And so he was able to get funds from people that had foundations, and he was able to supply Buddhist books in the libraries now in these, but with lots of difficulties. They only accept certain books. It just so but he was able to get the whole list from the prison system, what books he's allowed to give them, and the results of them learning meditation. And we're talking about prisoners who were, the two gentlemen I'm speaking to you about were in what they call life without parole. They were
Mhm.
never to be released. And after 25 years in prison, they have been out now for 6 or 7 years, and they are the most. I meditate every Sunday with this group. I was invited to their meditation, and I have grown so fond of this group and this meditation, and the fact that they're going in and volunteering to help change the lives of people who are being, given a sentence for the rest of your life. You're going to be in this prison cell. How do
Right.
you live in that situation and not lose your mind or not become violent or not, the different, join a bigger gang or whatever the things are? And he's proving and showing the results of what meditation has done. And they've made a few films now, and some of the films have been sent around and are being shown in different places. And it's, small work, just like you're doing small work. But in the big picture, this is affecting a ripple that's going through, and there's other prisoners who are changing their lives through meditation and mindfulness. And they're not saying you have to become a Buddhist or you have to be anything else. They're just saying this is a tool that can help you to see who you are and realize, what life is more about. And
Mhm.
I just, anyways, I just find I was somebody mentioned them to me. I had them on my podcast, just like I'm having you, and I'm just so thrilled to know that there's people like you and him doing this work from one end to the other. He's dealing with adults at the end. you can be helping these children so they don't end up going into the prison systems because you're teaching them this at that young age. I mean,
Yes.
that really can make a choice later in life when someone says, "Do you want to do this?" And they say, "No, I know in my mind that that's not the right thing for me to do." So I just, I don't know. I feel I'm just so happy to know that you're doing such great work like this. And I'm going to quickly go down my list here because we're at our 1 hour almost here, and I want to see what questions I haven't had answered. Okay. Oh, where are your programs being taught now? And do you have teachers besides yourself to do this? And do you train them?
Yes, I train teachers. So mostly I'm working on online programs because I want to reach as many people as possible. But like I said, I'll go whatever they call me, I'm happy to go. And typically what I'll do is I have a teacher training program.
Hmm.
Again, I don't want to sound like a negative Nelly, but the teacher has to want to. I was
Right.
recently I went to a school, they invited me to come and teach a class to the teachers, and there were, I don't know how many, 20, 30 teachers, I don't know, it was a full class. And I could tell, some people, they were checked out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is sad. It saddens me. But so yeah, I like to have to do things organically and have everything be in flow. So I do train. Um, I love in-person stuff, but obviously in person is limited. So I do a lot of this Zoom online teachings, and it's usually a combination. I like to be present, so we do the classes like this with me in it,
Hmm.
and then there's other materials that the student will use. But yes, the my goal is to teach the teachers who are already teaching math and reading and writing, for them to have this habit of starting the day with this. I always tell the story. So I learned English early on, and by the time I was in high school, my English level was pretty good. And then we had French for 2 years, I think, the last 2 years which was a disaster. I couldn't. It was really hard for me to learn French, but this teacher, she was so wonderful. She would come every day. She would always say the same thing, and she would come and she would do the in nom de père, the fil, the til. She would say "Our Father" in French, and then a few things that she would say. I still remember this today, 30, 35 years later. Because why? The repetition. She would come and do it, and she loved it. She loved French the way I loved English. And that travels, that
Hmm.
communicates. So I think this is the same. It's planting the seed. So if every teacher could just take a minute in their own way, they don't have to do so I have my method, which is what I teach, but there's, like you said, there's thousands of books and programs and so many resources. Whatever resonates with you, and just plant the seed. And very important, so if anybody's interested in doing this, parents or teachers, the trick is have no expectations and
Hmm.
ask no questions. If your child is having a moment, and if you have your quiet corner and let them have their private moment and their meditation, that's great. Don't ask them how it went, what they thought, how they felt. It's very intimate. I don't know,
Hmm.
you don't know that they want to share, even if you're close. Because like I told you, I never want to share any of this, my inner
Hmm.
life with my parents. Um, so have no expectations. Your job is just to plant the seed and walk away. And as a parent, I would lead by example. If you can sit and have a moment for yourself, take a few breaths, So your kids can just see you that every day you just sit by yourself for a couple of minutes and you breathe. That's it.
I want to say, I just want to validate what you're saying as from a teacher's point of view, that if you were to teach these teachers, like you're saying, whether one's in math or one's in, it could then be each class could be then improved just by that 5 minutes. And I want to say that I'll never forget the words of a teacher. In fact, I had some very special teachers growing up because we were in the gifted program, so we got really very, very talented teachers for us. And I'll never forget my English, it was English, Miss Sutz. And I was, a wild person, wild teenager. And she said to me, one day you'll realize that moderation is the key in life. And she was so right because I'm such an extreme person. I mean, that she could have given those words to someone else, but that might not have been the right words for them. But that was so the right words for me that now at 70, I'll be 71 next month. I have taken those words with me always forever. When I get myself in a situation and I'm going the extreme is I'm gonna, oh no, I've got to do it all this way. And then I say, oh, remember what the teacher said. Moderation is the key in life. So, and that it wasn't like she was lecturing me. It was one-time conversation, but it was truth. She was sharing truth with me. And I think when you're a child, you recognize that and you absorb it in. And so I think it would be great for you to be able to I guess I don't know. Have you ever made a video or anything like that with you in the classrooms? I saw a few
Yeah.
clips on your website. So have you ever made like a film or something like these men did with the prison? They ended up having someone make a film about what they do. Have you ever had thought about that as
Well, yes, I love to do that. I haven't done one professionally. I mean, I did videotape some classes with my phone, but that's
hmm
it. But yes, it'll be good. That's in the works. I would love,
great.
I'm in the works. In an ideal world, I would love to have a TV show about this, like kind of Mr. Rogers, but so the people that I spoke with about this, everyone poo-pooed it because it's not exciting enough. It's not fun enough. It's not going to
It could
work.
be bilingual. You can do it in Spanish and English and reach two groups of children.
True.
Uh, uh, I think this, anyway, excites me.
But we'll see. We'll see, right? Baby steps. I am
Yes.
like you, I think, very, all in or all out. So it's never enough. But thank you for the platform. Thank you for having me and for the interview. And yes, and thank you for helping bring awareness um, to the
It,
importance of starting early in life to support. Because, like,
mhm.
I think, the kids are already psychic, they're intuitive, they're all knowing. We are all healing. We can heal ourselves. We have so much power inside of us. And then we learn otherwise. And then we just learn to live a more limited life. It's a shame. Don't do that. Don't do that to your kids.
And do you find, like, I did something with some children recently, where I've just learned telekinesis or psychokinesis, and I was just doing it by myself for the last year for a physicist. And I decided, what would happen if a child came in? Could they just do this? And so I had different children from ages about 7, I think, to about 12 or 11 or 12. And I'd bring them to I don't know if you can see it back there, but there's a ball jar with a string and paper hanging from it. And I'd have them come up, and some children, they watched me do it. So they'd watch me have my hands at the distance, and they'd see the paper start to move, and they would be like, oh, yeah, I could do that. And they did it right away, instantly. Then other children I did this with, they looked at it and thought, wow. And they tried, and nothing happened. But some children, it instantly happened for. So do you find that that is something that happens also? Like if you're in a group, a couple of them, the light bulbs are just like, whoa, and that you've really struck them, and other children are still trying to figure out what it is that they're doing. So do you
Yeah.
find that it's a,
100%. So I know already, I made my peace with there's always going to be a 20% of the club, any group, 20% who will not get into it, don't get it, whatever, whatever. And that's okay. Like,
yes.
remember, we're just planting the seed. And one really interesting case for me was at this same place, the Quantum House, which I told you, kids volunteered to come. It was really, it was an amazing feeling for me. The whole experience was really moving. So one of the kids that, she was a big, she she wanted to come. She came every class. Uh, um, she was very hyper and very quote unquote disruptive. So she
Mhm.
would not sit still through the meditation. We kind of start with her feet like this uh, and maybe poking the others, maybe running around. So two wonderful things that I noticed. I love working with kids, so when with all kids, it's fine. Two things. One, the other kids didn't seem bothered by it. Some that were really into it, they stay in it. They stayed, even if she was like being a monkey and jumping. And two, another thing that I thought was so bizarre, at one point she'll come and hug me and just stay
Mhm.
with me and hug me. And I thought, I wonder if, because definitely we're all connecting at a different level. And I'm thinking, I wonder if this is her way of saying, I'm here, I'm with you, I get it, I know what you're doing, it's good, keep it up. I'm not going to sit, I can't sit still. This is good. Because she'll come and just hug me and say, like, okay. And the best part is that one time a couple of moms came in, a couple of adults, and they got upset. Oh, well, I didn't enjoy that. I didn't like that. I was like, yeah, okay, well, this is why, we shouldn't mix, this is for kids. And it's just. And that's the problem with adults. We always want to control everything. And
Mhm.
when I went to, especially after school programs, to drive me crazy, I do my thing, and my whole thing is about whatever. Everything goes. I don't care if you feel, it's about you and your feelings and your emotions and expressing and just feeling and knowing and being in the moment and whatever. It's especially in the beginning. This was way in the beginning, so annoying that the teachers, the people constantly sit up, shh,
Oh.
raise your hand if you're going to talk, which I don't care for. I don't even ask you to raise your hand, just talk. You want to say,
Mhm.
again, I believe in the flow. They're not going to talk over each other, and they didn't. Nobody does in my classes. It goes well, it goes smoothly. But the teachers constantly, no, sit up, don't talk back. It's Oh,
Well,
anyway.
you need to be in the classroom without the teacher.
Yeah,
And
sometimes yes.
yes, and
Yes,
just you and the students.
yeah, yes. But yeah, no, then again, I love to teach teachers and
Hmm.
help them understand, help them believe. A lot of it is, like you said, it's fear-based and, lack of belief that this can work out. You already made up your mind about these kids, who they are, and how they will behave and how they should behave. And you're the disciplinarian, and they need to be told. And, I'm not being very fair, maybe, because I'm just coming in for 20 minutes and I have a wonderful experience and I go there with them for hours and hours. So, I also, I don't want to, I understand.
Right. And they're underpaid.
Yeah.
That,
Right. But my point being, if you can master the ability to be at peace with yourself, that travels and it will influence your classroom. It will make your kids also feel at ease. The
Hmm.
same thing happens at home. If the parent has anxiety, listen, also with the 5-year-olds, you know how many times I hear, so the parents lie to the kids all the time,
Oh,
especially when they're divorcing, they're not getting along, or they are separating. And the kids know. So why bother? Why are you lying? What are you lying for? It's kind of laughable. It's funny because you look so stupid and your kids know everything
and they
because,
know you better than you realize as well.
because it's all energy. I remember this kid, she was a red-haired kid, and she's like, just, my dad doesn't like my mom. That face she made, it was so funny. It was so, she looked like such a grown-up, such an adult. The way she just said, no, he just doesn't like her. Like it's the implication was it's a lost case. Just forget it. Yeah. Anyway,
Yep. Some often I believe children, whether they're our own children or someone else's children, they're teachers. And especially when they're your own child, they know which button to push in you, and they're teaching you and they are smarter than you at some things. And you just have to, like I've always apologized to my children when I did things that I realized was not, oh, that was out of a reaction or that was out of something. And I say, I'm sorry I did that. I did it because I was really just overly angry and I didn't know I really didn't mean that or whatever the reason is. I've always felt that way, that I would just apologize. I don't feel that just because I'm the parent, everything I say is the rule of life. So I think it's important for parents to respect that their children aren't just little unknown beings growing that you have to teach everything to. They're actually teachers for us on how to live and be, and they're very, very smart. So uh, I'm just going down my list of questions because I think I've got everything done. I've got my curriculum questions, my teachers and students, my public schools, and um oh, I just wondered, here's one last one. I know you're not based in New York anymore now. I was wondering, do you travel to Argentina or and other countries that you've been able to set your classes up in? Or is it now, because we don't have COVID now, or are you pretty much, is it much better to be safe, based at home and doing your classes and things over Zoom and the internet, or do you actually get to travel to other countries?
no, I do travel and I love to travel. Like I said, I love to be in person. So
Oh,
if they'll have me, I'll go and I'll present. Yes.
that's wonderful. And have you presented at a lot of different conferences at all, or
No, not
no?
yet. No. Trying to think, I forget a lot. I forget. This is why you always have to write things down.
Well,
Uh,
we will have to keep in touch because the conference I was just at, I know there's going to be more similar ones to this, I think, coming up, but it's where it involves therapists and researchers and pe like the people that are working on the telepathy tapes and things like that. I think you would be a good presenter for one of those conferences. I mean, I think what you're
yeah, I
doing would
love
fit
that.
in with that. So we'll have to keep in touch, after our show. So,
Yeah.
anyways, this is where we come upon the show, and I ask you if there's any words of wisdom, or if you could tell and spell out your website, or any information for any listeners who might not be watching on YouTube. They might be listening on Spotify or Google Podcast or some other thing, have a pen and a pencil, and they may want to write down the info because they may not be looking at the description. So, if you could share that with us, and then we'll close.
Very good. Thank you. So my name is Veronica Moya, Moya, and Veronica's with a C. So if you Google my name, you should find me easily. My website is my name, veronicamoya.com. And the same thing with the YouTube, YouTube at Veronica Moya. And I also have now a new, I'm starting a YouTube channel for adults as well, because people have been asking me for years, and I was very stubborn not to, but I feel I should also, give encouragement and advice. And basically, I'll do the same things that I do with the kids. Oh, that's another question people ask me. what's the difference and the difference teaching adults or teaching kids? And there's no difference. It's the same.
Hmm.
What I do on my guided meditations are the same. It's all about positive reinforcement, reminding ourselves that we are blessed, that we are beautiful light beings, and everything should work out for us. That's it. So yes, check me out and shoot me an email. I love to connect with people. And then yeah, I have the Instagram and all that stuff. I think it's Veronica Moya Coach. But that's enough. Just go on my website and send me an email.
Okay. And is there any other words of wisdom or anything else you'd want to share with our listeners?
Yeah, my words of wisdom always is not to forget about the magic and try to bring it back and keep it up because teaching kids, I realized around age 9, 10 years old, the kids are already losing it and they are already cynical and skeptical. And it's very, very sad. Even as I'm saying this now, it makes me sad. And then as adults, even worse, right? Life will jank the magic away out of you. So make an effort to keep it up. Believe in magic, do things that help you remember and use it because we have it.
That's a just, I really, really enjoyed having you here today. And I have to say, uh, I feel the exact same way about the magic. And it's always when I have an experience with a psychic phenomena or a dream or whatever it is, even though they've been happening all my life, I always feel that it's magic and I always welcome it each time like it's a new breath of fresh air.
Yeah, we
And I feel like that's why it keeps growing and happening in my spirit. So I just really, really enjoyed this. And I'm so glad that however you found us to come on our podcast, we're so happy to have you today. So I want to thank all you listeners for joining us. I want to thank my children for my son Rich for posting the producing the podcast and my daughter Nancy for posting it. I want to thank my husband for doing all the description writing for me. And I want to thank you listeners that do like, subscribe, share, and remember to share your stories because stories can heal. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you at the next show. Thanks, and bye.